All right, welcome to week 4. We're now starting to come down the second half of the semester. We're about almost halfway through. So let's just go over what things are going to happen this week. First, what are we learning? Well, we're going to learn chapter 6. Specifically, we're going to do 6.1, how to factor out a greatest common factor, how to factor by grouping in 6.2. 6.3 and 6.4 will focus on factoring trinomials. So make sure you're watching all those videos, and then we're going to talk about factoring special cases. Again, please make sure you take the time to go through the videos and look at them. In 6.2, factoring by grouping is really a special version of using the greatest common factor, and it is actually the general strategy for all factoring. I'd encourage you to become very, very familiar. Don't just toss it aside as just another trick. It's actually the general strategy for all of this. 6.5, there's really only one special case, and even it could technically be done by using factoring by grouping, and what I will talk about in 6.3 and 6.4. So make sure you watch those videos and you look over the notes. But we'll put all that together in 6.7 is we'll solve equations by factoring. So this will require you to actually think about solving rather than just breaking apart as we've done in factoring. This week, in terms of what's due, well, on Wednesday, we have due our first homework, 6.1 and 6.2, but also quizzes for 6.1, 6.2, as well as 6.3 and 6.4. So make sure that you're staying on top of all that. That's to help you get pacing and make sure you're still engaging the course working towards 6.3 and 6.4. Then the homework for 6.3, 6.4, and 6.5 is due on Sunday. 6.5 quiz as well as 6.7 quiz are also due on Sunday. Notice the 6.7 homework is not due until next week. I would encourage you to start doing it. In fact, I would encourage you to start working on Chapter 7 homework as well. This material will start piling up a lot faster and will seem to get on top of people more so than even the first half of the class. So this is when the class usually starts picking up pace and students start feeling a little overwhelmed. So make sure that you're budgeting the 30 hours a week that I talked about previously to make sure that you have enough time to fully engage the course, to think about the concepts and really practice them in depth. Now also this week, exam 1, we took it last week, but the grades along with your exams are posted in Blackboard. I uploaded a scanned in version of your exams with my grading comments in them. So please go back through that and look at your comments. In fact, there's an assignment called the post assessment. It's attached to this announcement. It's a PDF. So I want you to print it off and fill it out. The things you're going to be asking for each problem, what section did that come from? Did it come from section 3.2? Did it come from section 5.1? Then you're going to ask, what was the concept? So in other words, what's being tested? Is it testing about what are the intercepts of a graph? Is it testing about something like, for instance, the power rule or the product rule? Rather than just saying 5.1, I want you to go a little more in depth and focus on what are the things or concepts, not just necessarily one, that are being focused on in one particular section. Also, what review problem or problems was it alike? So look at the problem in the exam and say, what was this most like? This makes you have to go back. I want you to see the relationship. Also, you need to mark, did I get it right or did I get it wrong? If you got it right, just mark right and move on, but you still need to fill out the prior material. What was it about? What was the concept? What was the review problem? This is to help you overall look at it. But if you got it wrong, you need to ask yourself why. Was it a simple mistake? Did you make a sign error? Did you accidentally add two things incorrectly? Or was it more of a notational error? So really ask this and dig in. If it was more than that, make a note as to what it was. I have an example. Please let me know if you need more examples. And also, this is due by Sunday. So that gives you all this week to work on it. You don't need to do it in one day, but I want you to absorb and go through and say what is working, what worked, and what didn't work. because the final exam is cumulative. We'll be using this material again, so I want you to review it. I want you to master it. I want you to have it down so well that you can do it in your sleep. I know that may be a little bit above where you're going to get to, but that's my goal. My goal is to get you to that point in time. Also, as a reminder, just because you did poorly on this exam or did great doesn't mean you'll do great or poorly in the rest of the class. So keep working hard. But if you did do poorly, here's an incentive. If you master this material and do well in the final exam, it will help your grade. The final exam, if you do better than any of the midterms, your lowest midterm score, it will replace that score with the average, the midterm, and the final. So for example, if you got a 60% on this exam, and then you scored 100% on the final exam, that your average would replace this exam from 60%, it would suddenly become an 80%. So having one bad exam score alone is not going to hurt you, but it does make it harder going forward. Now, that's the whole purpose, is go through this post-assessment. After you do that, which has to be done completely to get the credit, I will add 15 points to your exam score, which is out of 200. So please do this, submit it on Sunday. That means a scanned copy, just like every other homework assignment. Scanned, picture, anyway, and then send that to me. Now then next week, we will engage in Chapter 7. So we have all of Chapter 7 to deal with. We'll even start on Chapter 8. And before you know it, we'll be wrapping up Chapter 8 and have our next exam. So please keep this in mind. Start working on it. Give yourself pacing. In fact, if you want to engage Chapter 7 early, please do so. Good luck, and please let me know what questions you have.